Hey there, welcome back to another Delightful Discussions. I am your hostess, Mariah Young, the First Impressions Director with 48 Days Community. So I apologize, I'm a little distracted here because it's telling me I'm having trouble streaming on Facebook. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Okay, so with that being said, I am so excited to bring you guys sparkle to your day. So if you are needing that, which who isn't, make sure you grab your water, grab a cup of coffee, and join myself and my guest, who I'm super excited to share you with in just a moment. And we're going to add some sparkle to your day today. I already know this. So make sure that you join in, and I will be back in just a moment. All right. So I am kind of bummed to see that we're not working on Facebook today. So if you are seeing this on Facebook and you're seeing these issues, please hop over to LinkedIn and you can see us there. And my handle is at Mariah Young. I want to make sure that you get to see this interview. So Suzanne Castle is one of my absolute favorite people. The moment that I met her, we both knew that we needed to be friends. And I'm going to tell you guys, when I send out I send out a form to all my guests and I ask them for their bio and all that. And I have to tell you, Suzanne's is one of my favorite. Hands down. So I'm actually going to read this to you. I usually improv this, but this is just too much fun. So I have to share it with you. She is a Capricorn and Texan. She loves strawberry shortcake and chocolate Dr. Peppers. I'm going to have to try that. Glitter and feather boas. She loves Italy, New Orleans, and Las Vegas. Can be bribed with iTunes gift cards. I love that. Is an Apple computer user since 1984. Oh my goodness. That takes us back. And I love this because I don't know that I'd call myself an aficionado, but I love this. She is a Disney aficionado. So, oh my gosh, if you could relate to any of that, I know I can. You do not want to miss this interview. And Suzanne is going to drop some major gold nuggets on us today. So without further ado, I bring to you Suzanne Castle. Yay!
I'm so excited to be here. Hi, everyone.
Oh my gosh.
Let us know. Give us some love in the chat.
Yes.
Thank you for that delightful introduction. You're so kind.
Oh, well, it's all true. So, Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us on Delightful Discussions. This was way overdue. We needed to do this long time ago. But I'm so glad you're here. And we decided to do a lunch and learn because you have such amazing leadership techniques and methods. And I really felt like our audience would gain so much from hearing from you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. And I know as someone who lives in the disc land as well, and my definite ID self was so get ready, everyone. If you know what those letters mean, like that's me. I'm definitely an ID. And just spend some time really thinking through how you're making decisions, how you're using what you have in front of you to make decisions, how to not get stuck on fear island and let that keep you from making the next best right step. So I appreciate the time to just really be with you and how you are literally changing the landscape of how people think about themselves and communicate out in the world. So thank you for inviting me here today.
Thank you, friend. All right. So can you tell us, before we even begin, can you give us a little bit about what you do? How do you spend your time? I know you do many things. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I would love to. So I'm the creator and founder of the Sparkle Factor, and that's really my movement. I call it a movement to really unlock brilliance for leaders where they're feeling misaligned, I think is the best way to say that. So in other words, if you think that you're not shining in the way that you want to, you felt a little stuck for a long time, taking action seems to be difficult and murky for you, then you're my people. So what I use a framework, really. I'm a John Maxwell consulting person and have gone through that training a long time ago, but I've got multiple certifications and NLP. So really, I like to hack what's going on in your brain from a creative sense to help support you for your biggest dreams, to get them off the page and out into the world. And so I do that mainly through speaking and consulting and a few client work off and on.
I love that. The sparkle factor. I think that's why we connected. When we met, I remember that. I was like, she is just so brilliant and vibrant. And oh my gosh, my kind of person.
Me
In fact, I
too.
wear
Well,
my
you're my kind of person too. I know. And I love that you like knew to like put on all the jewels today. So love that.
I love it. Okay, so then we did discuss a little bit about having you share, your juiciest piece of information. And the reason that we want to do this, guys, is because I really want you guys to get to know Suzanne, get to know what she teaches. And she really has some really cool stuff coming up, which we're going to talk about at the end. So can you share with us what it is that you want to talk about today?
Yeah, I think let's talk about taking action, because I don't know about the rest of you. And if you've got a pen, you might want to jot some things down or come back and watch this again if you're in the car or something. But I feel like in the summer, we get the slumpies. I don't know if anybody else is in the summer, but a lot of my clients are there, right? Yeah. Yeah. We get the summer slumpies where we're like, well, it's not really September. I'm not really racing to the end of the year. And maybe, well, January started off great, but kids are out of school and it's hot and kids are going back to school. And I'm just going to focus on me right now. Nothing wrong with that if that's your jam.
Right.
But when we get in slumpy mode, then our mindset gets mushy. And when our mindset gets mushy, that's when I think fear shows up. Like, or if it's not so much fear, like scarcity and worth things that are coming up for you, it might be that I don't really know what I want to do. The first part of the year didn't go right. So you know what? I'm just going to throw my plan out the window and start over. And I think a lot of that has to do with allowing our mindset to get messy. We don't mind our mind. And so we get into really decision fatigue mode, I think. I don't know if you experience that, Mariah, at all. I with my clients anyway, I talk a lot about make a decision and make a decision that you've made the decision. Don't go back and rethink the decision. Don't go back and just stay in indecision. Don't go back and give energy to the fact like, well, maybe that wasn't the right decision. It was the right decision with what you had at the time. So then we want to take the data and just say, do I need to do this differently? Maybe make a slight turn. It's not the decision didn't work. It might be one aspect. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about that to help you kind of fuel your results to take some focused action. So, so let me first start out by saying, if you're in a place today where you're feeling a little mushy, then I think the first thing you need to tackle is choosing where your energy is going. So I like to think of it like this. And again, this is a very ID thing to say. Yourself, but
that out.
Right? Yeah. But what I say is you can have a lot of energy leakage from your brain, meaning that if you're spending time going, well, I don't know about this. Well, I don't know about that. Oh, I really need this. Oh, I've got too many things on my to-do list, so I'm not going to do anything. Or, well, that didn't go right, so everything's wrong. That's energy leakage. You're not hacking your brain to help you take focused action. So I think the best way that I would say if that's the place that you're in today, the first best step to take is, does your schedule show you that your goal, your dream work, whatever you're working on, your project right now, does your schedule show that that's the biggest priority in your life? And just be real and honest with yourself. So in that space, Mariah, like what would you give in the tidbit when you're thinking about your schedule and prioritization? What do you notice when you've got some energy leakage going on?
Yeah, I actually love that you said it in that way, in fact, because I do think, I've been spending the last few weeks getting better organized and getting myself structured, bringing on a VA and some of those things. And so I have actually spent a lot of energy just thinking through my processes and how that has been a lot of energy. Like I haven't had a lot of energy after that. So, yeah, it takes energy to actually get more structured and simplify.
It does. And I think that's why people stay in that messy place, because they're like, this is like, I just know how to do this. Okay, great. But when you're struggling, you're obviously there's something missing, or when you need to hand off something so you can do something great, the energy it takes to replicate a process can really honestly keep us stuck, because we're like, well, that's just too much, so I'm just not gonna. right? And we
Yeah.
all get in that place. It's
Yeah.
human. You're just humaning when you're in that place. And I mean, so I want to recognize that this is normal. You're not abnormal for any of this kind of work. But when we're in a focused time and we're trying to do something big, or we're trying to unleash something like you, I need to get systems in place so I can bring on a VA, because when that happens, then I can put my attention over here to this big thing I'm doing, right? When
Right.
you're in that place, your calendar, your priorities are going to have to shift. And
Mhm.
instead, I think a lot of us are like, I'll add that to what I'm doing. And I know with my clients, what I will say is, when you're doing that, your light will just continue to dim, because you can't keep adding. Think about that. Like if you're up here with your beacon and you're doing all the good things, but then you add something, it goes a little lower, and you add something, it goes a little lower, and you add some, and pretty soon
Yes.
it's like all the way down here, and there's no light anymore, right? And I mean
Oh,
light like guiding the way, but also light on your soul, right? Like it just, everything starts to feel heavier. So if you're
yes.
in that place today, the first thing that I would say is, you're going to have to shift some stuff. Like at the end of the day, like just write that down, shift my stuff. Like
Right.
I'm going to have to shift a little bit of stuff to make room for this big thing I'm doing. So one of the ways I do that, I'll just tell on my own self, is instead, I'm a big person. I like to go to the grocery store and piddle around and try different ingredients, because I love to cook. And when I'm in a big focused mode, I'm going to have to set that aside. And I either do meal planning, like a meal service, like the box meals that then you fix, they give you the recipes. I don't want
Right.
to do one because I know we're not sponsored. Okay. Or I just make my list and I call it in, and then I'll swing by and pick it up.
Mm.
Because even that time, that hour I would spend in the grocery store, suddenly now I have an hour in my schedule. I can be like, okay, instead of doing that, I could spend this time focused on this big thing I'm trying to unleash in the world. So I think that's the first tip I would get about taking some action and not staying stuck.
Oh, I love that, Suzanne, because you're so right. We talk all the time in the entrepreneurial world about working in our zone of genius.
Right.
And I think what you're saying is so true. We just keep adding and adding and adding and adding. And when I look at my schedule, there's nothing on there that I don't want to be on there. But to your point, if I'm saying yes to all these things, then I'm saying no to probably my zone of genius.
Correct.
And that's a travesty, right?
It is. It
Yeah.
totally is. And
Yeah.
I think it keeps us stuck. And so that's the first thing I would say. So again, it's all about energy, managing your energy so you can take some focused action. So then
Mhm.
I think the next thing that I would say is, so first you're going to mind your mind by looking at your schedule.
Yeah.
And then I want you to mind your mind by knowing what you want and what you can do, no matter how small it might be today. So here's
Mm.
what I mean by that. So when we look at, like, I have a big event coming up in October, and I probably have, let's say, 700 tasks to get done before I can literally take the stage for that event. Okay.
Right.
So when I look at that, as anyone, if you saw, I have 700 things to do, I don't even have 700 days, right? I have like 9 weeks. Like, how is that going to happen? Right.
Yeah.
Everyone at that point will be like taking a boat to Stuck Island and hanging out because you're in overwhelm. Right. And there's no way off. There's sharks are circling. Like, it's not happening.
Right.
But instead, when we're in that place, making a list can be helpful and hurtful. So the first thing to do is get it out somewhere. Like, so make the list and see the 700 things. Great. That's fine. That's your first step to take. And then you just set it aside.
Mm.
You don't immediately need to take action on anything. The first action is getting it out of your brain. Right.
Yep.
Then your brain in the background, by the way, while you're Netflixing whatever it is that you're choosing to watch or stream, or playing with your kids, or blowing bubbles, whatever your jam is, your brain's going to actually start working and sifting that, but you have to give it space to do that. This is the hack that a lot of people don't know. They'll make a list. Right?
Oh yeah.
And then they start working on the list. I will tell you, your brain needs a break from list making to list doing. So take a break, make your list, and then leave it alone. 24 hours is usually super helpful. I know that's hard to hear, but because when you come back to your list, you're going to be like, oh, you know what? These things go together. These things go together. Really, I don't need to do that. Or even better, am I the one that needs to do that?
Oh,
so it becomes pretty clear pretty quickly that you will know what you want. That was the first component, getting the list down, and then what you can do, but only if you're taking a break. So how do you do that, Mariah? Because I know you're highly organized.
Oh,
people. So
yeah.
what way would you do that?
It's funny you say that because I just got done with my 10-week session of an organization coach that I hired. Because like you, I'm sure most of us entrepreneurs get to this place where we've like built something
Right.
and we're like, we're pretty organized. Like I can do this. But to what you're saying, and I think your tip is a 10x tip right there. If we want a 10x, often we can't keep using the same tools that we've been
Right.
using, right?
That's
So
right.
then I've got it in my head, the Santa Claus song, making a list, checking it twice. I'm like,
Exactly,
oh,
right.
wait, making a list, taking a break,
Yes.
batching the tips.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
batching the tasks. Yeah, no, it's so good. So yeah, I love that hack. I think that's something we all need to hear. Take a
Right.
break.
And it's easy, right? That doesn't take any money. That doesn't take any software. You don't have to go learn anything. All you have to do is go, I'm committed to my brain serving me. And for my brain to serve me, I need to give it a break to amass information. We're in such a state, in society in general, no matter where you are in the world, where you're inundated constantly with messaging. So from this, it's probably next to you right now, to this, to like a notebook, to like what, driving, think about all the billboards that you get, all the messages that you're hearing constantly, right?
Yes.
Scrolling on social media. And your brain is literally receiving all of that and doing something with it. We don't think about it that way.
Yeah.
But when it's constantly bombarded, and then you're asking it to do hard things like 700 things,
Right.
your brain misfires because there's nothing else for it to do. And meaning that it just doesn't do anything. And so when that happens, it's telling your body, yeah, we don't really want to do that. Like, let's not do that. Or, oh, that's too hard. Or that's not really what we need to do. Or even I'm too overwhelmed to do anything. And it's literally because you haven't given your brain a break. It needs a break to serve you. So thank you for saying that that's a 10x tip, but it's a tip that anybody can do. You don't need any special knowledge to take a break. So, and if you're in a place in a company where your boss won't let you do that, go, you know what? Suzanne said I need a break. So blame it on me, have them call me, say, I will be better when I take a break. Like I will serve you better when I can take a break. So that's the tip I would give.
I love that. I mean, you could even take a walk, a stroll around the office or something, just enough to give your brain some space. I love that.
That's right. And my favorite way of actually doing this, besides, I call them joy toolboxes, which are just a little thing I can pull out. I have confetti and bubbles and silly putty and all kinds of things in mine that just make me play. Because if I'm always like this, I need to do something different, like recapture my child a little bit. But the whole point of taking a break is you're not thinking, you're not planning, you're doing a thing that allows your brain to do its work. Meaning something that gives you energy, something that's a change in environment. So like you said, I think anything that gets you up and gets oxygen in your brain needs to be the way that you take your break. So even if it's like, I'm going to go take a walk to another room, great. But like getting moving then floods your brain with oxygen, and your brain cells get back in the Wayback Machine with me. I'm old. So and think about, you need to draw your cells, right? Yes. When your brain cells don't have enough oxygen, they do this. So think about that. If you're asking your brain to do a hard new thing, you need your cells to be like this, right? So they need to be hydrated. So the walls are good, right? To your brain. You need to have oxygen flowing in your brain. This is why hydrating is so important when you're doing a new thing, and moving, getting oxygen flowing. It's not only good for your heart, it's actually really good for your creativity, for your brain. So that's why I'm saying make a list, because then your brain's like, ooh, all these things. And then go play, do something, go take a walk, grab the dogs, grab a friend. And you will find ways that you didn't even know were in front of you if you can do that.
Do you sell the Joy Toolbox? Because seriously, that sounds amazing.
So you're the first person to ever say that to me. Like I am doing some sparkle merch. We're about to launch some sparkle merch, but I hadn't thought about Joy Toolboxes, and now I may have to think about that, Mariah. I'm gonna have to give you like some commission money for that.
Little booklet, I love this. Oh, I'm always on for things like this. That's like me. I keep my pom-poms nearby, so I can celebrate.
Right. There you go. Exactly. Same thing. It's whatever, laughing floods your body with oxygen. So I have a client right now who gets real frustrated with good reason for some things. And so one of the strategies that we helped this person uncover was so Schitt's Creek is a show that is no longer on, but it was on for a while. If you're a fan, if you're not a fan, so I apologize, like just insert whatever show here. Okay.
Right.
But this person loves that show. And so I said, okay, well, you can watch an entire episode in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, I said, yeah. So when you're frustrated, maybe the first thing you need to do is go take 20 minutes and watch that. And interestingly, they have said it doesn't even take 20 minutes. It's usually about minute 5 or 6 that they're laughing. And they're like, oh, I feel so much better now. And then they go back to their work and they said just the shift change for them, just doing that one little thing allows them to be a better human, to laugh a little bit more. They're more creative. They're not like this all the time in their chair at work. They just that one little hack. So that's what I mean. Like find a way that changes your circumstance and get some oxygen in your body. A laugh is a great way to do that.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's drive this home.
Okay.
I love this mind your mind. I think, wow, you've got my brain going crazy right now. I got to tell you. I'm like, oh, I need to brainstorm and take a break. Yep. So what would you say? Like, I know there's probably so many more steps you could talk about, but if you could only give one more tip, what would that one last one be for today?
So my last tip then is the squishy tip, which is that fear will show up when you're trying to do this work. When you're trying to get a hold of a new action step and you've implemented breaks and you're doing all the things, fear then loves to show up. And fear will lie to you all day long. Please don't think that now what I will say is fear is there to keep you safe. And because of that, fear will tell you not to do something because it doesn't know. Right? Again, your brain is hardwired to be like, oh, no. We can't go do that thing because we don't know what that thing is. Even if what you're doing right now is terrible and sucky-wucky, it's what your body and your brain already knows. So for that, it feels more safe than even like going to take a walk. Like leaving my computer for 15 minutes to take a walk. So it can feel scary because you're like, oh, I've got deadlines. But what happens? And da-da-da-da-da. And that sounds silly when I'm saying it, but I know some of you watching this have been in that place, right? Yeah. Because fear will lie to you. It stifles you. Fear's job literally is to hold you back. Oh. So when you're starting to feel that, because it's trying to keep you safe, remember, like just honor it. When you're starting to feel in that place, and you will, ask yourself this question. Is this useful? Because sometimes it is. Sometimes you're about to do something that's a little scary, that could have financial implications, that you might have to change your schedule for. Maybe your family time is going to be diminished for a little bit. Maybe you aren't going to have as much fun time. And fear is telling you, oh, are you sure you want to do that? And it might be useful to know that so that you can make changes in your schedule and expectations. But also sometimes, again, fear lies. So sometimes is feeling this and thinking this right now useful to the thing I'm trying to do in the world? Because if it's not, my recommendation is you go, well, hey there. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. You're doing your job. I'm going to make sure that I'm checking the perimeter, right? That I've got what I need to move forward. And then you pat fear on the shoulder. Thank you so much for doing your job. And you go anyway. So it's not that you don't recognize it, because I think when you're not recognizing it, that's when you don't mind your mind very well. So give it attention. But then by asking the question, is this useful? You get to decide what to do with it next.
Oh, that is so good. You're like a sticker shop waiting to happen. I'm telling you. So many of your like sayings and everything. I'm like, I'm such a visual person. So as soon as you say, what did you say? Mucky wucky?
Yeah.
I saw a picture of a sticker in my head. I was like, oh my gosh.
I love this.
Oh, so
I'm like Shakespeare. I'm just making up words everywhere.
I just love it. I love it. Oh, Suzanne, we could talk for hours. I know that. Okay. So while we have had this great information about minding your mind, I mean, wow. What is do you have like a final wrap up thought on this?
Sure. I want you to ask yourself as you walk through the rest of your week, imagine yourself that you're that you're meeting people, right? Either online or in person, doesn't matter. Like you're meeting someone And would they know that you're in alignment quickly? Or would you have to spend a lot of time, saying that, or you're stumbling over your words because you don't really know? So someone says, so, hey, you're just meeting this person for the first time and they're like, how's that alignment going? And you're like, right? That should tell you that you haven't been minding your mind. And so if you can't answer that pretty quickly with clarity, then I would say you need to do some of the tips and work and reach out to Mariah, get some work done so that you can show up in the way that you're trying to show up in the world.
I love that. Now, I know my audience is going to want to know how to find more of Suzanne.
Oh, well,
so I know we have your website on in the description. I don't know if we have Verve in there. So can you tell us what you have coming up?
Oh my gosh, I would absolutely love to. So, guys, just listen in. This isn't for you. So sorry. But you might know a wonderful boss babe who needs to be in the room. So every year I do an event called Verve, and it has grown now to 3 days. And so October 20th through the 22nd in Arlington, Texas this year, we are having Verve. And Verve is really a place for you to reset and realign with a change maker spirit. So that's kind of the defining thing. So women in the room that come to this already have a heart of service and change about them. Like, they're mojo makers. They're not there just to soak, like they're ready to go. And so in the room, literally, not just me over 3 days, because that would be way too much. I get that. But people like Mariah will be there. We've got several panels on how to make structured friendships, the wellness components of doing big things, what happens to you physically and mentally when you're doing big things. We have a person in TV and movie production that will be in the room to talk about your digital messaging. We've got a branding superstar that will be there for you to just really be thinking about how you're showing up in the world, and lots of other things along the way. So it really is a resourcing conference, meaning that you get some inspiration and motivation, but you're going to leave with a big giant notebook of getting things done. So you literally start working in the room. And every year at Verve, we have women who start businesses together. We have, in fact, one person just became the CEO of a company from someone she met last year. So there really is a way that you spend time, intentional time with each other in serving and getting served. And really, obviously it's my event, so I feel good about it, but I have not been to an event that's like this, which is why I structured an event to be like, I'm not getting these things. Okay, well then let's just go start one then. So that's kind of how the movement got born. So I know you've got a great promo code. And so we could get people like $140 off their ticket if they use your promo code, right? You want to tell them that?
Yeah. If you use GALS, GALS.
That's right. That's right. And tickets are cheap anyway. They're $339 for 3 days of content. It's really not that much. If you look around, I try to keep it at a price point so everybody can come, but go get $140 off. Like, come for $199. In fact, I think there's only like 8 seats open or something, and we're sold out. So
go get those now.
Yeah, go get them. It's SuzanneCastle.com/Verve. So my name /Verve, VERVE. And we'll get you all signed up and ready to rock.
I love that. And the reason that I was attracted to this is because I know that you're such a change maker in the world. You sparkle. I know that, like, when I look at whether I was attending or, of course, we are doing our panel, it wouldn't have mattered either way, in that I know that it's going to give me the tools, the connections, and everything that I need to launch for the next year.
Right. And that's the hope. So thank you for catching that. That's why I do it in October, because then you have a month to like really do all the work when you get home, so that you don't wait till January. You start implementing in December. So you walk into January like, I've got my plan and I'm a boss babe, and I got people around me to make it happen. So there's very intentionality with the timing of Verve every year. I can't wait to have you there. Like, you're going to rock this room, and I just wait, this interactive fun thing that's going to be happening. I can't wait. I'm so glad that you're going to be there. Thank you for saying that.
I love it. All right, guys. I'm pretty sure we put the link in the description. If we did not, I will add it, because I want to make sure that you're there. I'm actually already, like, as we were talking, I was thinking of several people I need to send personal invites to, because I want them in the room.
Cool people. That's the way that it works.
Right. That's right. So please make sure you check out Suzanne's information. All the stuff should be in the description. You want to have Suzanne in your life. That's what I'm going to say.
Thanks. I can't
Thank
wait.
you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And literally anybody reach out. Let's get on the phone. Let's make the world happen. Mariah's a great example of that. But think about if we all did that together, we could change the world.
Right. All right, guys. Until next week, thank you for joining us and live creatively, friends. Bye.